I'd like to return to the 1948 Bowman set one more time. In the 1948 Bowman set, we know well that the Series 2 cards are typically more rare than the Series 1. But as I've said before, there are certain cards towards the end of that 36 card first series that really stand out in terms of value. A previous video I did on the number 32 Red Holzman featured one of those cards. This number 34 Joe Fulks is certainly another. You can tell when the cards get more valuable because the condition of them in my collection certainly leaves a lot to be desired. But I'm just glad to have this card in any condition. Just like that Holzman card, you might remember me mentioning this in that video. I have a 2001 price guide that listed the Holzman at $425 compared to a common at $50. And although the prices aren't, accurate, I thought it was a good relative comparison. Well, it says the same thing for this card, $425 versus the common at $50. So again, just like the Holzman, a very valuable card towards the end of that Series 1. But this one is a little bit more complicated because ironically, with Joe Fulks being so popular while he was playing, that meant that this particular card was preserved more often during those early years. So it's actually not as hard to find as some of the lesser players. So you have to factor in that kind of subtle piece of information when you're searching for this one. He was very popular back then. Jumping Joe Fulks was what they called him. And it seems like he was just unstoppable as a scorer. To try to imagine that respect that he commanded, look what it says on the back of the card. In the very first sentence, called Babe Ruth of basketball. Can you imagine having that nickname? The card continues to mention him holding the single season scoring record. That was 1,611 points in 70 games at the close of the 46-47 season. He led Philadelphia to the championship that season. Now this is important. That brings up a typo on this card. You don't hear a lot about this uncorrected error. Right here, in title series with Toronto against Chicago in 1947, and then it continues on. Well, that Toronto should be Philadelphia. But despite the typo, it goes on to mention him scoring 21 points in a single quarter. That's impressive. So you can see he was crucial to the Warriors' first of their 7 championships. Now, when you say that, you have to remember the Philadelphia Warriors actually became the San Francisco Warriors, who then became the Golden State Warriors. His career continued into the NBA, where he was setting multiple single-game scoring records. It's also my understanding that Fulks was credited with developing the modern-day jump shot. On top of all of that, he is a member of the Hall of Fame. That's going to add value to the card as well. Many price guides are going to call this a rookie card, and I've talked about this before. I think it's important to note. Nearly all of the 1948 Bowman cards can be considered rookies because these were the first basketball cards of these players. Now, for some in the set, like Red Holzman or Bob Davies, it was their first year in the BAA, but not their first playing professional basketball. Now, for Joe Fulks, this wasn't even his first year in the BAA. If you look here in the back of the card, it says it was his third. So you have to keep this context in mind if you're going to call this a rookie card. Now, I think this is really, really neat. So this basketball ring that you could get. You've heard me say in previous videos about the uniform or the ball itself. I wonder if anyone kept that. I wonder if I found the basketball ring. Now, I don't have it, but it was in an auction. I'm going to put a link to it in the description. And when YouTube allows me to make those links clickable, you'll be able to see it. But I hope that you can read enough of the link to go find it. It's really, really neat to see. All right. Well, we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.